think this might be it. This might be it. So, welcome to the second highest point of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back onto the Nürburgring Nordschleife and the 5 + 3, the 8 series, where we're doing a complete track walk around the world's most amazing, fabulous, fantastic, challenging racetrack. So in case you missed the previous episodes, check them out in the video description, where we'll be talking you through the significant, important reference points and technicalities and things that you will otherwise not see while driving the track with your own car at high speed. So in today's episode we'll be going from Hohe, Acht, as mentioned, the second highest point. The highest point is Sabine Schmidt's curve, halfway through the track. And today we'll be walking towards probably Brünnchen, where we'll end today's episode. So some interesting facts. Well, here we have the second part of the connecting piece of Staatsstrecke. Check out previous episode in case you want to find out more about this section of the track. And from here we will proceed towards the YouTube famous Wippermann, where you have the so-called Wippermann challenge, and then of course also eventually Brünnchen, the YouTube corner. So I guess let's start walking towards this nicely cambered corner of Hohe Acht. Again, something that you will not see during the drive, but this explains why this corner offers so much grip. Once you passed the highest point and your car is settled, you can go on the gas to the right curb and then left curb and going straight. And if you're listening to Chris Ree, you might be distracted, and then something like that will happen. And then everything goes well, unlike this fella, or unlike my case, although I recovered, you will arrive at Wippermann. But before we're gonna talk about that, first a mandatory thank you to our today's sponsor of this video. No, we don't have that, but important disclaimer, as mentioned in the previous videos, do not walk on the track. I mean, you can walk on the track when the track is closed during winter, etc., but Nürburgring specifically urges you not to take your dogs with you on a dog walk. Why? Here's a perfect example. Look, most of the time dogs go sniff around here, do their business, and here we have broken glass from the car crash. And you really do not want to have a very nice weekend after a track walk being ruined by a vet visit. So yeah, just like from one dog owner to another, leave your dogs at home or behind the barrier and walk through the forest there. Anyway, Wippermann, yeah, very important, or I would say not important, but technical, iconic corner for YouTubers, for race tracker photographers, because you want to hit both curbs and show how you're sending through it, and both wheels are coming off the ground probably. If everything goes well, of course, it could also get very tricky. It's a corner that consists out of two curbstones. So we have here on the left the curb that you can optionally take. Some drivers decide to avoid it, some drivers decide to take them both, but if you are taking them both, it will provide extra stress on your car and might unsettle you more. We have here a new curb actually, or new section of the curb for this year, so it will be interesting to see how it will affect the car's dynamics. So, as mentioned, most of the people actually try to stay off it, and on the right, it's a curb that most of the people try to take. It's very important, if you are deciding to take it fully. Do not go like slightly just on the painted part, but go actually completely over the right side. When you're driving the public sessions, and quite often the big point of critique from other fellow drivers, and which is legitimately when people try to go too much on the right side and therefore end up even going on the grass or on the dirt here, it throws up lots of dirt for the cars behind you. It can destroy their windshield maybe even, but most importantly for the bikers, the extra dirt that ends up here can become dangerous. If you're driving it for the very first time, of course, try to stay off it just to see the track that I mentioned. Don't try to send it completely through it, because, well, as you can see, this tire wall over here has lots of damages for a very valid reason, because cars do get unsettled here a lot. So if your car is not set up correctly, do not take it. After that, the reference point is quite nicely is the Marshall fence over there, 158, where you also slightly tap on the brakes before proceeding into Eschbach. I think this is one of your favorite corners to film, no?
Yeah, especially from this angle.
Yeah, Eschbach, so when the cars come downhill over Wippermann, braking zone, and then turn in towards the right curbstone and then disappear over the crest towards Eschbach, braking into Brünnchen, it creates some very nice shots. It's also, of course, also very challenging because as you can see, it's a blind crest. And if you really want to carry speed through it, you will end up running really wide, very close to the grass, as you will see in a bit. It can be quite challenging. Important thing to mention is quite often people brake here quite late on top and end up understeering slightly, missing the apex, but actually, as mentioned, you brake at the fence of 158 because the gravity will also help to slow down your car before you start the climb, or actually when you start the climb. So it's a bit technical, but it will help you win a couple of tenths here and there, and eventually maybe also obviously the race. But no lap timing in TF, no public session lap timing, no, only during racing. If you want to run really wide, there is some rumble strip here with extra rumble strip over here, but yeah, then you really are going really wide. And then you go downhill towards Brünnchen, and for some reason this is like my most unpleasant corner. I really dislike it, especially in the wet, because you need to run really close to the barrier. But after that it's all good. I don't know, for some reason it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Over here there's also another new patch of tarmac, because last year an AMG GTR caught fire and burned down completely, and also melted a piece of tarmac that had to be resurfaced. Something that we've seen also in the previous track walk video on another patch. So last year, with all the heat waves that we had, it took a lot of toll on many cars. Yeah. All the fears and unpleasantries aside, after Eschbach you will be approaching Brünnchen. Should you run wide here? That's really wide. In any case, go to the left curb after here and stay on the left side to then approach Brünnchen, a very famous YouTube corner. And now probably stereotyped people, nothing wrong with that, might say like, so why is it so dangerous? Why do people always crash there? Because we always see crashes on YouTube, so it must be dangerous. Well, it's only the fact because you have here, of course, aside from Auto Addiction, Stateside Supercars and other YouTube channels, you have here thousands of spectators every day. So whenever something will happen, people most likely will catch it on camera. So this is why you just see crashes in the past happening here when it was really popularized, and even maybe nowadays still, because there's a high collection of spectators here. Everywhere else on track it's also just as challenging to get it wrong. The only difference is you probably will not have all the spectators standing alongside in front of whom you will try to show off, which will lead to well, unsuccessful show off with a very successful YouTube fail video. So overall it's a very simple corner, I would say. It goes downhill, so you aim for the left curbstone, you stay on the left, you go on the brakes after the curbstone, already at the rumble strip. After the rumble strip over here you have sort of a triangle. I call it triangle because it's easy to see. At the end of it, at the very end, that's a nice reference point for the turn-in towards the right curbstone. And you really need to watch out because the right curb is very high. There are actually multiple cases of cars going on it and then causing a rollover, because that's how much it will unsettle your car. So cautious with approaching the right curb, and then you can go run wide to the outside to proceed towards Brünnchen 2. Just one more thing to mention in addition. This corner has been resurfaced back in 2017, I think. I don't remember exactly, 17 or 18. So it's relatively new tarmac, because some sections are as old as 50 years old. But you can see two things. It's running quite off camber, so when it's raining, water will accumulate there. And also because the dry line is there, as we learned from the previous videos, you should avoid it in the wet and use the graffiti as your reference point, because because this means cars are not driving on this part of the track during dry days, so it will be definitely grippier than the inside of the track during wet. And then on the left you have a curbstone and a rumble strip, and sometimes even well, dirt that you can use as a runoff area if you want to go really wide. Not really necessary, but I'm sure we have some nice shots of that. Another change of this year is actually on this side, and hopefully no one will actually have to use it. This parking lot, so to say, has been made bigger, and this site is being used during racing to store all the crashed cars here, to then evacuate them by the time the race is ended. This is very random. I wonder who these people are. While Adrian is getting a very important close-up shot of these three flippers dudes or something, I don't know, wonder the story behind it. Point of trivia, before 1967 there was actually a jump here. The track would continue going high there, and then there will be a drop here, so the cars will be jumping. So some old Formula 1 pictures, you see a car flying and you would see people standing alongside the track. It's actually here. We'll try to insert a couple of pictures so you can see how it looked like before 1967, when there were lots of resurfacing done, and also the installation of first guardrails, because before that there were none. There were only hedges. And if you're thinking like, oh yeah, those carless, they destroy our cars because we have no runoff. Well, if you have no runoff, man, you're gonna end up against a tree or in a ditch or like 50-meter downhill fall. Maybe guardrail is a bit better, but who am I to judge? After this long familiar straight that you all know from auto addiction videos, who is usually filming from there, you have here a braking zone, and then turn into the right. And this is going to be the end of today's video, but what I want to say is there is a new piece of barrier. So you might thinking someone missed the braking zone. No, actually something else happened, and we have a crash footage of that, which happened during the Rally Köln-Ahrweiler, the only event in the year ever where the cars are running in the opposite direction. Since it was a race event and it sanctioned the publication of crashes, well, enjoy the very only first crash footage, outside the obvious racing of course, on our channel, and see an upcoming video where we'll continue our walk towards Pflanzgarten and obviously also the end of the track. So thanks for watching and see you. Bye.